Welcome to the Dance Entrepreneurship Podcast, the podcast for studio owners, independent teachers, and all those bringing dance to their community. Each week, we talk money, mindset, and self-care. Let's get started. Hey guys, it's Ginger. I just got back from the Dance Life Teacher Conference in Connecticut, and boy, did I have a blast. I connected with so many friends and made new friends along the way. I encourage you to take the opportunity to attend a dance conference. There are so many throughout the year, and most of them are concentrated in the summer. But whatever it is, wherever you go, I encourage you to go. Take the leap and go. Even if you don't know anyone, go. Get out there, put yourself out there, make new friends, new connections, get inspired with new ideas, and start off your season or your month with a refreshed and renewed spirit. Now, for today's episode, I wanted to talk about new season resolutions. So many of us in the US or other parts of the world, we start up in late summer or early fall. And while the rest of the world sort of does a restart in January, we have an opportunity to operate with a restart in the late summer, early fall. Part of our restart can include refreshing our website, making sure our voicemail has the correct message, making sure that all of our social media handles and information is up to date and accurate. It doesn't reflect something that is from a few months ago, right? And you also want to make sure that if you've changed classes or you've made a combo class or removed a class from a combo, that you update that description in your software. Make sure all of those things are good. But the bigger opportunity for a new season resolution is around your studio's operations. What were your pain points from last season, and what can you do to make a difference now? For some people, it could be that they want to tighten up on their customer service, getting phone scripts in place so that the staff all use the same messaging. Maybe for you, it's about getting all your teachers on board and having a way for them to be consistent in the syllabi that they teach, the benchmarks that they're looking for their students, and being on board with all of the deadlines that you have. Perhaps if you have a dance company, you want to change some of the deadlines and the benchmarks for performances, for the creative process, perhaps for fundraising or your photo shoots. Whatever it is, whatever your operations are, this is an opportunity to get things a little closer to your goals and your dreams. You see, you probably had things, even if you felt very successful, you probably had things that felt like, man, next time I'd like to do this. Maybe it's an idea that's in the back of your head for a really long time and you just haven't got the right staff or the systems in place to implement it. Now's the time. And I want to say this. It's said so often that life is short, but it's so true. In fact, I just had a birthday at the tail end of this month in July, and for me, I found that it was really a reckoning of like, okay, this is how old I am. And I felt this pressure for a moment of, wow, there's so many things that I want to do, and we only live so long. Now, certainly, I'm not that old that I don't have much time, but if we think about the reality, we never know when our time to go is. There's people who thought they were fine, and then something tragic happens. And so I want to remind you all that you don't want to live your life with regrets. You don't want to think of shoulda, woulda, coulda, and never actually implement any of the things that have been on your heart and your mind. So when you think of your new season resolutions, think about things that have been the thorn in your side. Think about the things that have been the inspiration in your heart. Think about things that you really wanted to bring into further alignment with who you are, what you represent, and what your mission of your organization is. Now, once you decide on what this new season resolution is going to be, make sure you share it with your team. Let them know what you're working towards, what perhaps is a new vision or a new program that you're going to be doing. Nothing could be more confusing to staff members or volunteers than proceeding with the status quo only to find out that the leadership has changed direction and you're not actually aligned with moving in the same direction, and it delays things from getting to that future state. You see, if you don't share your new season resolution or your new goals, no one will actually know what you're doing. In fact, they might question you and your decision making and have those parking lot conversations, as I like to say. After work is done, everyone's leaving, and they start chitter-chatting in the parking lot after the building's locked. Those are where these things are revealed. Hey, I thought they were doing this, and now this is like this. Or she completely deleted those files, or anything like that. Make sure that you do share whatever it is that has been changed in your mind or in your operations. I also want to take a moment to remind us all how special it is that we share with each other. When I was at the conference, one of the things that felt so great was that I was able to talk with other people who do the same thing that I do. We're engaged in this great world of the dance industry. Whether it was mental health professionals or people who teach tap or hip hop, maybe it's studio owners or people with multiple locations. At the heart of it, we all do the same thing. We all care for this precious art form that we want to pass on for generations to come. We want to make sure we care for the minds and the bodies of the dancers and the dance instructors, as well as the choreographers and directors. We do that best by celebrating the diversity that is within the dance world. When we pit each other against each other and look only at, well, we're in the same market, so they're my competition, we miss all the rich opportunities that are between us if we share. Now, I know I've talked about this before. In fact, we talked about what we gain by sharing, and I'm going to say it again because I do believe it's so important. The other thing that I think is so fun is when you find somebody in the business who's been in the business for decades. In fact, I've made friends with a few people who've been in business for 20, 30, 40 years. The thing that I've noticed about all of these newfound friends who've been in business for so long, for decades, is they have a certain sense of self, confidence, and calm. So one might think that spending many, many, many decades in business, one might think that someone who's been in the business for decades might be burnt out, tired, ready to retire, sell the business, move on. But that's not what I've found. So many of them have embraced iteration. Their business has evolved over time with them. They also engage in ongoing professional development. They never at any point have said, that's it, I'm done. These successful people who have owned dance studios for many, many years, who have owned music production companies, serving dance businesses for many, many years, they keep bringing in new people into the fold. They have new directors and managers. They've got new, fresh ideas coming in, injecting life into their business. What I found is that maybe they involve a family member, a daughter, a son, someone who's helping carry the torch of their legacy. You see, yes, they've been in business for 30 years, but they have not given up on their vision and their mission. If anything, they've magnified it by involving others. So I want to just highlight the lesson here. The longevity that I've seen in the dance business has come from people getting involved with others. They're not doing it all on their own. They're not going out and becoming a master teacher and never taking class themselves. It's so important that we embrace ourselves as students. And when we do that and we get on board with having other people help us further our vision, it helps to keep the energy alive. It helps prevent burnout. And I'm not talking just about like working too many hours. I'm talking about you get into a slump where you just don't create like you used to, where you don't think of new ideas like you used to. Now, I will say this. Sometimes your new staff, your new ideas come into place and you wonder, what on earth are they thinking? Maybe they have ideas that just sound so far out that there's no way you'd want to implement them. But I want to have you do two things, right? First is remember when your ideas were crazy, when they seemed too ambitious, too nuts, too expensive, whatever it is. Remember when you were that person who had ideas that were so big that instead of trying to push against the leadership of wherever you were, you went out and did your own thing. You created your own business. The other thing you can do is use your experience to educate people on what you do know from your experience, from your skill set, from things that are tried and true. And then you find somewhere in the middle. Some things you're going to override and veto and say, this just won't work, or it doesn't really fit our organization. Or maybe we're not going to do it right now. Let's try it later. The other things you might say, this is the way we've always done it, but the way we've always done it isn't going to take us to the next level. And you actually implement and try some crazy idea from someone else. You might actually find success there. And I hope you do if that's where you're at. So I just want to finish up this conversation. We are in this season, this summer, where opportunity is ahead of us. Even if you thought that you were done, maybe it's your last season, whatever it is, I want you to think about, what is a simple thing that I can do to make a difference in my business? What could be my new season resolution? What is something that's been on my mind that I haven't put in place? Who is somebody who volunteers or works for me who has consistently had ideas that I've just ignored or put on the back burner? Could I do anything with those ideas or bring them alongside the building of the next vision? You see, longevity in this business means that we depend on and work with others. Many people who I've met who do it all on their own, they end up deciding they're burnt out and they're done. They exit the business. And that's fine if that's where they're at and that's what they need in their life and that's what they want. But if you're getting out of the business because you're stuck in feeling like you have to be the one to do everything and you're simply burnt out because you refuse to bring in other staff or volunteers to help you, then you can actually change this around, right? If you want to change careers, by all means, go for it. Don't think twice. Go for it. But if you're simply at the place where you need to make some tweaks and involve others, then that's what you should go for. Don't throw it all away because you've lost your passion, because of choices that you've made. Anything can be turned around, my friends. Anything. I wish you the best. Hey there, this is Ginger. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you loved it, subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please share it with a friend and leave us a 5-star review so more people can discover the show. Resources can be found at gingerhaithcox.com, and you can find me on Instagram at haithcoxbiz.